You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
All right, folks, what's good? We are back. Another episode, Ain't No Seats podcast. Before we get going, we got to talk about them. Emprise Bank, they're the title sponsor. They've been with us here at KCSN for a long time. We love Emprise. They're the best. Don't be tethered to a brick building. I tell you this all the time. Use their mobile app. Use their online banking. They're as good as it gets. Shout out Emprise. We love working with them. We appreciate their support. Emprise Bank. Let's get into the episode, boys. It's the middle of summer. We were sitting on the text thread today figuring out what we want to talk about. And we just decided let's fire out a Q&A tweet, see what people come up with, and we got some interesting responses. I'm excited to talk a few of these. Before we get into the Q&A, this was fresh on my mind. I just saw this. Did you see Oscar Tshiebwe's going pro and that Kentucky has like 5 freshmen and 2 sophomores on their roster currently? Like, they stink. I mean, I know they have the number 1 recruiting class in the country, and not to turn this into a Kentucky pod, but are we like shocked? I just tweeted this, like, Calipari not being good in the NIL era is kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Oscar on Twitter today when I woke up, and I immediately thought he was coming back to college because he's been there for so long. But yeah, we play them next year, obviously, in the Champions Classic. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, they've gotten so many recruits, obviously, through the years, so many number 1 classes. Now they don't do that well in the portal. I mean, who'd they get? I'm trying to think of some guys they've got in the last few years. I know they got some earlier a couple of years ago. They paid Oscar to come back. So
you think about like Wheeler, who's been a disaster. The fans hate him. CJ Frederick. Yeah, Toppin has, I mean, their fans kind of hate him too. I always was confused on why he was, I don't know. I feel like if his last name was Toppin, we'd never hear that. It wasn't Toppin. We'd never hear that guy. Not to go down a Kentucky rabbit hole here. I just saw that and immediately wanted to throw that out. Because if you would have had to tell me put your money on one program versus the other, Kansas, Kentucky, when it comes to NIL, Bill Self, Calipari, it just felt like this would be something Self maybe wouldn't love, which I know haters would say he loves paying players, but it felt like Calipari was going to dominate this. He's not.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. It's awesome to see that Bill Self's dunking all over him.
So, like, with Nike, obviously, was just funneling kids to Kentucky and Duke for a while.
I don't get it, but Rupp Raptors is melting down, and it's great.
Can we do what they did to us in 2014 Champions Classic? Beat us by 100, nice. Hoping it was vodka. I don't think it's going to be a 40-point win, but let's just beat them by 20.
I mean, the thing is, they're still we're sitting here, he has the number 1 recruiting class. They're wildly talented. I don't think it matters a whole lot. I mean, I just saw Memphis might have a guy coming back that's going to be 27 years old next year. So,
because if they've been from the 08 championship game.
Yeah, it's Pierre Henderson, whatever his name.
Confetti.
What was his name? Confetti guy. Pierre Henderson.
Start a fight in the tunnel guy.
Neil Pierre. I don't know. Legend. But, okay. Let's get into a little Q&A. We had some interesting ones, and we do probably need to talk football because football's sneaking up. It's coming. I saw somebody, probably not a question that we're going to really answer, but somebody said, have we ever been this excited for a KU football and basketball season? It really was wild to think that when is the last time heading into a season there was this much hype around both programs? 07, I guess. But did football back then have as much excitement as we have right now for this team?
What they do the year before they went to the Orange Bowl, I forget.
Oh, man. Alan's going to kill us from that.
Yeah, he really is.
I feel like
weren't they?
Because we went to the Insight Bowl the year after.
Yeah, I know. I get the lost in the Sun Bowl, according to our guy, Nick.
If that's correct. Edit this part out.
It's fine. I don't know. Dude, KU football was...
Because I think Reesing, his freshman year, was that year he came in for the Colorado game at 11 a.m. He was going nuts, running around the field. And then his sophomore year was the Orange Bowl year because junior year was the Insight Bowl where they beat Minnesota, and then senior year they start 5-0 and they lost 7 straight. So yeah, we weren't obviously not expecting the Orange Bowl in 08, so we didn't really have expectations. And then they got probably a favorable schedule, and they had a really good team and a bunch of NFL players. So yeah, since then, obviously there hasn't been as much hype. I would say obviously there was hype going into the Insight Bowl year, but basketball had lost a ton. They'd lost all those players. We had Sharon, Cole was a sophomore, Tyshawn, so a bunch of freshmen. But yeah, since then, KU football's been a disaster. And last year they're coming obviously off a bowl game they almost won. They started 5-0 game day, and we're going to be preseason 1 in basketball.
Yeah. I thought you were about to say preseason 1 in football, and I was going to ask what you were smoking over there.
That too. That don't sleep on the Hawks. But yeah, I mean, so first question I really want to get into, Leo Buckley, shout out. He said, KU football was a fun story last year, given the struggles down the stretch. I know JD was hurt, but is there a chance we are too optimistic, given we have only seen a half season of very good football? Not trying to be negative. I see them as a 7 to 8 win team in 2023. So definitely not negative. He's got them winning 7 to 8. And I'll be honest, I've had the same fear. And I think we're all just a little scarred from the amount of times we have gotten our hopes up for KU football. Now, it's never been this real. Like last year, we proved it. We put a real product on the field. We could have won a bowl game, as B-Turn said. But I also do feel like we may be too optimistic. And so I don't know. It just is terrifying to think that, are we really going in expecting 7 wins from a Kansas football team? Like, that's really hard for my brain to do. I don't know. Where you guys at?
Well, I think you're scarred. I think you're scarred for sure. And a lot of KU fans are. And I'm just thinking about last year. I mean, they start 5-0. Obviously, JD, I think he struggled a little bit towards the end of that 5-game stretch. I know TCU, he fumbled at the goal line. Iowa State, he really struggled in the second half. But I still like to end the year, even with Bean, I feel like they were competitive. I know Texas and Bijan ran all over them, but even the game in Manhattan, I know it was never really that close, but they still competed. Baylor.
I mean, you take away a couple mistakes in that first half against K-State were in that game. Like, that's a very frustrating.
Yeah.
They were for sure competitive.
Yeah, we muffed the punt at the 1-yard line. And then, Baylor, they pinned them at the 1-yard line. There was a lot of third down conversions. They almost came back and won that game. So really didn't get blown out besides Texas. And then the bowl game, I think JE just gets you even more hype going into the year with how good he was. He was pretty bad in the first half, and then he just put up like bowl game records. I mean, put us in a great spot to win. Obviously, we went for 2 at the end, but another year under Leipold. I think they got a lot of vets. They got a 2-headed monster in the backfield. I think defense obviously will be the question. I think up front in the linebacking corps. So I think I have my hopes up. I get why you're scarred, but I think Vegas has 5.5, 6.5 wins.
Is it 6.5?
I saw a graphic on Facebook that said 6.5, but
that's what I thought. That's why I said 7 wins seems crazy. Like, okay, let's real quick run through this, not to be like,
can we make a bowl game
on the schedule? I think I would love 5.5 a lot more than I love 6.5 because the route's there. Missouri State, you're going to win. Illinois is probably less than a touchdown spread. I don't know. I really don't know how good. I know they had a decent year, a pretty good year last year, didn't they? So it's in Lawrence. I could see us being like 3-point favorites. I could see us being 3-point dogs. I really don't know, but it's a game we could absolutely win. But let's just say we lose it. So we're 1-1. We go at Nevada. I don't know much about Nevada, but I got to think we win that game. So
we're starting 4-0. We're beating BYU at home.
4-0. I know Nevada's bad, but let's not get ahead of ourselves by locking in road wins for the KU football program here.
But Nevada, I think
I get that, Ron.
We won that West Virginia.
Listen, KU football's not back if we can't freaking write in Nevada as a win.
I'm just saying, I think they're going to win that game, but to just say, let's just lock in this road game as a W, like that's just never been the case with this program.
Well, settle down because B-Turn's locking in BYU as a win.
If fans are skeptical, it has to be because of the run KU just went on from 2009 till 2 years ago, right?
Well,
yeah. 100%.
Yeah, because if you just look at what we did last year and you look at what we returned, there's no doubt the expectation should be 7 regular season wins or at least 6, and you're back in a bowl game with, we return one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, one of the best running backs in the conference, like on paper, and you could argue, this will rile people up, we have one of the best coaches in the conference.
In the country.
And yeah, I would argue a top 15 guy in the country. So, like, on paper, yes, 7 wins should happen. If we weren't Kansas football, I would be all over it. But it's just like, yeah, I get Leo's question. Like, are we? And I'm not saying we are. I'm just like talking it through. This is a therapy session because I don't want to set myself up for failure. But as I run through this schedule more, like, I think B-Turn, if we don't start 4-0, 7 wins is hard.
I think maybe Vegas is thinking as Kansas makes a bowl game and they have a chance to get to 7, or does the bowl game not count on those? It counts, right? Oh, it doesn't.
No. So we got to get 7 regular season. So Missouri State, Illinois, Nevada, BYU, there's 4. But now you've got to go win 3 of at Texas, UCF, at Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, at Iowa State, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Cincinnati. There's probably 3 wins. There's definitely 3 winnable games, and there's probably 3 wins in there. But boy, does the top of our schedule feel a lot easier than the last, like, 8 games on the schedule. I don't know.
DraftKings has over under 6.5 wins. Overs plus 145.
Yeah. That'll drop to 6, I bet.
I'm not trying to say BYU is an automatic win. I think if KU could start 3-0, they're back home. The booth will be amped up, obviously, as it should be all year. I know BYU lost Jaron Hall, their quarterback, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know every single roster spot for these new teams that are coming into the Big 12. But 3-0 back home for that game would be electric. Illinois is just a massive one too.
For a reference, BYU's win total on DraftKings is 5.5 at -120, and Illinois is 6.5. But the over is favored, so
I think
they're about the same as us, essentially. I would think.
I would think KU Illinois will be around to pick them, and Lawrence fighting us now.
The Friday night game at the booth, potentially.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. I got a fun hypothetical from one of the questions we got, and we'll be back after the break.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
All right, so our guy Alan, nobody loves a Q&A pod more than Alan. He always brings the heat. And this one's interesting because you could probably just find the odds kind of online, but what's more likely for the upcoming season? KU wins 7 games and goes bowling for a second straight year, or KU hoops makes a Final Four?
I just wanted to say we're 1 question in or 15 minutes in, so 30 minutes.
30-minute goal, but we're going to do it.
This was by far my favorite question that I saw in our replies, just because I feel like you could make so many different scenarios, I guess. Like, KU is going to be obviously preseason number 1, but we know how hard it is to win 4 games and come out of our region. And then KU football, you would think, since they went bowling last year, they'll maybe go bowling 2 years in a row. And they'll just keep getting better under Leipold. I guess I'd go with like the proven commodity, Bill Self and KU basketball, preseason number 1. I would say Final Four. I can definitely see both though, and I could definitely see KU football being the answer, and KU basketball could randomly lose first weekend if they play bad against an 8 or 9 seed.
I think if this tweet said KU wins 6 games and goes bowling, I think I'd go KU football. But the 7 makes that hard for me because the 6 in bowling seems very doable to me. And, preseason number 1, yes, but has Bill ever made a Final Four while being preseason number 1? Final Fours are hard to make, really hard to make. He's been to 4 freaking Final Fours, and he's been a 1 seed like 10 times. Like, they're just hard to do. So, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a fun question because it's awesome that both of those are very possible.
I could tell AB's ready for this one.
AB, yes, I got to hear what you think.
I'm so confused, man. Not confused, just torn. I think basketball's more likely, but I'm not like confident. I mean, we've seen the tournament so many times. It can end for anybody at any night. Number 1 overall seed, Virginia lost to a 16 seed by 20. You just never know.
Like,
just never know.
I truly would have thought Duke with Zion and RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish, like that team just walks to a Final Four. Second round, UCF, they have a chance to win it at the
should have lost.
Yeah.
Still triggered time. Missed that layup.
Virginia Tech should have got him too.
But yeah, I think Allen kind of asked that question perfectly. Like he typed it out perfectly. That probably rolled off the thumbs really well for him. But yeah, I thought that exact same thing, Rye, with 6 wins would be a little different because I would say we're going bowling, but you go 6-6 and play a Big Ten team or something, it's going to be tough to beat them.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to go through our list of questions. AB, while we have Alan's questions open, do you want to just rant about the seasons? Alan asked, I don't know if you've answered this on the pod before, but rank the 4 seasons: fall or summer, fall, winter, spring. Consider more than just weather. Let's make this fairly.
Why you're reading it that way, Ryan? Do you have more KU thoughts right now?
No, I just loved that Alan asked that question. It's very funny to me.
Fall's number 1. I don't think that's up for debate. I really don't think it's up for debate. It's football season. The weather's perfect. I know he said other than weather, but it's football season. It's just the best to me. I've always loved fall. Second is summer to me. I just like my job and it's really busy in the summer. So I like the summer. Plus it's like, I just hate being cold. I can handle being hot. I realize all my answers are weather related and he said not to use that. But winter is dead last, so I'd say spring is third.
Dude, it's tough. I probably agree. Spring's
I have that same 4.
Spring's last for me. Assuming you don't count, I don't know though, like March Madness, is that spring or is that?
Yeah.
This is the challenge for me. I mean, I'm a summer guy because I love golf. I play golf all the freaking time. Is my favorite weeks of the year, all fall in the summer because of golf trips, golf tournaments, things like that. The weather stinks and we don't have KU basketball. Like, I go back to where if I'm in a season that doesn't have KU basketball, I'm struggling because I need Kansas basketball. I need Bill Self press conferences in my life. But God, man, summer is so fun. Like, I'm just looking at my summer weekends right now. Like, they fill up fast, but it's just with fun stuff. You're just doing something fun all the time. And I don't know how you beat summer.
Big lake guy.
A lake guy, golf guy.
If you live in Kansas or around this area, are you a serial killer if you have winter anywhere besides 4?
Well, I mean, that's where I think the problem is. We get to go to Allen Fieldhouse during the winter.
Yeah, and I also think winter, we hate it so much because it's
you have basketball and football, right?
Yeah, winter, you have Christmas and Thanksgiving, if you want to count that. It feels folly.
That feels like leaves.
Right, but it's cold. I don't know.
Yeah, winter. I mean, as Nick just pointed out in the chat, we're sleeping on Christmas here. Like, Christmas is elite. It's a great time.
Well, I hate cold.
Like, to me, it's winter versus summer. That's the only. And I know I used to be the most anti-hot guy, weather-wise, of all time. and like, I don't know. I've just kind of gotten over it. It summer to me as an adult, which is weird to say.
Clip that.
I love the summer as a kid, and probably more, but like summer as an adult has become very fun for me, and I enjoy it. So I think I go summer, winter, fall, spring. But God, you could probably ask me tomorrow, and I'd re-rank them all.
That's terrible.
I can't believe it put spring last. I thought you were on spring number 1 overall.
I'm fall, spring, summer, winter.
You guys are, I guess, yeah. I'm just I'm not even letting weather impact it.
But I don't know. Spring and summer, I could switch because, yeah, spring, I guess, Alan said no weather, but I can't help but, like, spring's obviously still going to be cold a little bit. Like, I'm picturing walking into the Big 12 tournament and it's still 40 degrees outside sometimes. But
remember when Ryan got a hotel room for all 3 of us to stay in? And it snowed about a quarter of an inch.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's so
It was a fun time. That was a really good time.
One last thing. I mean, for people that work I don't really work a corporate job and like I don't sit in a cubicle anymore, but for people that there's nothing better than wintertime at a job like that because like nobody's working hard. You're taking all your vacation. You're off work for like a week. I had one company I worked for back in the day that like said you just get 2 weeks off by Christmas. The company wasn't even open. Like, so Christmas and winter brings a lot of good vibes that it's just hard for me to not have winter in the top two. Granted, the weather sucks, but you get KU basketball, you get great vibes because you get time off work, you see your family, you get presents, you give presents. It's a good time. I don't know. Wow, we spent about 3 more minutes on this than I planned to.
You were talking shit on that question. It was the best one we've had so far.
I wasn't talking shit. I asked it the funny voice, and you took.
Can I ask a question just off the cuff that's not on there, just to get the boys talking?
Sure.
Favorite golf course in Kansas City area? Topeka can be included, but I mean, you guys play all the time. Is it Oak Country? I played there Sunday.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah. At like 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock tee time.
I teed off like 1:30.
Or was it?
Dude,
Ain't no
I don't.
and stopped me. A little fan of the pod.
How about it?
I mean, I'm always going to side with my home course, Topeka Country Club. It's the GOAT, currently going under renovation. Shout out. But I also played Lawrence Country Club last Friday, and it was very, very nice. I enjoyed that. Kansas City, I don't know. Every time I play Kansas City golf, which is not that often, it's so freaking busy. It drives me nuts. Like the public courses it's a nightmare. And for that reason alone, I don't think I could ever live in Kansas City because, and I guess, yeah, you got to join, what are they? Melbourne, Kansas City. I don't even know. All the country clubs around there, you just got to join them because the public courses drive me nuts. So
you don't like Sykes Lady?
I played that. I played that. That one's fun.
I played that with you.
But but when I'm picturing being a jam-packed golf course and waiting 5 minutes for every shot, that's what I'm picturing. So,
no, it's
my question.
It was bad at Oak the other day, man. But I'm back. I'd like to announce I'm going on the Pro Tour. I birdied the 16th. It felt great.
Par 3?
Felt great, yeah. And then I almost drove the green on the 17th, which is a par 4. But Ryan, don't get excited. It's about 240 yards. Just a touch short.
We're not playing the seniors.
No, there's a.
Oh, it's like not even 3,000 total yards for the course. The whole back nine is like par 3s and short par 4s.
Right, hole 9 at Oak is 390-yard par 5. Like you can hit a wedge. You can hit a wedge hitting your second from the fairway.
I went to the 10th for the hardcore 75-yard par 3 with just nothing.
Yeah,
some of the holes that are so annoying. Like 12. I don't know, not 12, 13. I don't understand.
It's 60-yard hole in between trees, par 3.
And you guys said this is your favorite course, or were you kidding?
No.
But we love
okay.
Hometown. I like. You ever played Shoal Creek? AB, I like Shoal Creek. I like
Shoal.
I really liked it in high school. Is Sunflower good? I remember playing there in a high school tournament.
I played
Sunflower Hills was fun, and there's another course I really liked in high school. I just can't remember the name. I can't remember. There's so many. Falcon Ridge, Falcon
Falcon Lakes, Falcon Valley.
Yeah, like all the Falcons, the ridges, but the meadows. Dubs Dread's a fun course.
I hate it. But I can see why you like it. It's just hugged by trees, and Turner cannot hit it down the fairway. So
I lost a lot of money gambling at Dubs Dread. But wow, what a segment talking golf. Let's start a golf podcast. Okay. Let's see. B-Turn, did you have one you wanted to touch on for sure? Or do you just want me to fire one off here? We've got about 6 minutes.
We'll see
if we want to meet our goal.
I like the Leo one.
Okay, let's figure that out. We'll take one last break and we'll figure out what we're going to answer next.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
All right. I like this one. Let's see. I lost it. Okay. He says, which Jayhawks do you see having the most personal success in the NBA, starting from last year's draft to anyone on the current roster? So I think that means we're basically talking Ochai, CB, Grady Dick, Jalen, and then this entire roster, which it is kind of a good question because I don't think there's a very clear answer. I think CB right now has the lead, but like Grady Dick, I don't know. Feels like if Grady Dick gets drafted in like the right situation and it's a fit and it makes sense, he could be so good. But if he's like,
I think it's going to be Dallas at 10 for Grady, which would be cool with Luka, 80 shooters. Maybe OKC would be cool too. I think they obviously have some good guards. Giddey, Shea, they need a shooter. He'd be close to here. I personally, I love CB. I think he's super safe and he's going to always play because he does all the right things and defends. Like he's pretty much one of the only rookies playing on a playoff team. But I think Och's ceiling is super high. He was a lottery pick, played a ton at the end of the year last year for Utah. I know they were tanking, but I just could see Och just blowing up. He's super athletic, built, can shoot it. I could see Och being a really good pro.
I know. He really, I mean, if you had to just sit back and make a guess on like who ends up making the most money, I guess Grady Dick's probably the leader in the clubhouse because he's about to get a pretty fat deal. But like, it does feel like Ochai's a guy that with just a few good years could get one of those massive contracts because of his athletic ability, his shooting ability. So I don't know. God, it seems lame to take Ochai, but I don't know. Actually,
I think Grady's safer than Ochai.
I do too. That's what I was going to change my mind. Like Grady Dick, like if he goes to Dallas, that's exactly the type of situation he needs. Just Luka commanding all the attention, a good passer, finds him open in the corner on the wing. Like, God, he would kill it. But if he goes to, I don't know, I saw Nick just commented the Magic.
Oh, God.
I don't know much about the Magic, but like, that's not what I want for Grady Dick. I don't want Grady Dick having to revitalize a franchise. I want him to just be plugged into a franchise that already has the pieces.
Can I give you a list of 3 teams that I want him to avoid?
Orlando's got some
Utah Jazz, the Orlando Magic, and the Sacramento Kings. I don't care how good they've been. I don't care how bad they've been. I'm just tired of seeing KU players get drafted or play on those teams.
The Kings, nobody loves to kill a Kansas player's pro career more than the Sacramento Kings.
I found a question that I want to ask from the comments, so we can make it quick. We got 2 minutes on the deadline. If JD and Devin Neal stay healthy, what is the ceiling for the Hawks? I want to ask that because I feel like we could get a bunch of different answers on what the team's ceiling could even be. But
are you talking like absolute best case scenario?
That's what someone asked in the ceilings is what is the ceiling for the Hawks?
10-3. Then go to the bowl game, lose to the Big 12 title. Like, I know that sounds crazy.
I was going to say
absolute best case scenario. It's probably getting to Dallas and winning double-digit games.
If in K-State fans, they're probably not listening, but they would take offense to this. But like, if K-State's roster last year can win the Big 12 title, KU with JD and Devin Neal leading the way, their ceiling is, to me, at least getting to the Big 12 title. Yeah. With Lance Leipold, like, it may sound crazy, but it just is. That's the fact of the matter. Like, those guys are good, and the Big 12 is not certain. I mean, it's Big 12 is always a monster, but it is really good. I don't know. I think I agree. I think like 10-3 seems like the absolute ceiling. Anyone that says like 15-0 is obviously crazy. Even like,
what would we have been saying on this freaking podcast if we beat TCU last year?
Oh.
I'd pay money to hear what we would say. 6-0, maybe top 10 team in the country at that point. Top 15 for sure. TCU played the national title game.
TCU's going to be awful this year. I'll call that right now. Water's got to find its level. They won too many weird BS games. Like, was it at Baylor when they're like 8 seconds and they got the field goal on the unit to kick? Like, it just every week was something crazy, and they kept winning.
Can I ask one more question and answer it in like 30 seconds?
It's fine. You've already blown past
This was on Twitter. Maybe we can clip this and make this an argument, but someone said, honest opinion, who was better in their college career, Devon Dotson or Marquise Noel? And I think Marquise Noel, obviously recency bias. He went crazy in the tournament. Everyone just saw it. They made it to the Elite Eight, almost made the Final Four. 2020 Kansas is one of the best Kansas teams ever. Devon Dotson averaged 19 points a game on the best team in the country, a team that only lost a couple games all season. Doak averaged like 13 a game and was still Big 12 Player of the Year, and Dot averaged close to 20. Like, Dot was unreal, got downhill a ton, got to the rim, got to the line. Wasn't great shooting threes, but I feel like if you're going to take Noel, it's going to be based off what has happened lately.
Yeah, and Dot didn't even get a chance to play in that tournament. If Dot leads KU to a Final Four, would have happened. We were like minus money to make a Final Four. It's Dot easily. And I think people often forget how good he was. He averaged 19 a game simply by pretty much just driving to the basket, getting past his guy. Like, he was just so much quicker. Kind of like Noel. His tournament run was unreal, what Noel did. So it's like, I'm absolutely not trying to bash Marquise Noel at all, but like, Devon Dotson didn't get to play in the tournament in the year he was really good. If you flip that and say Noel didn't get to play in the tournament in the year he was really good, nobody says a word about that guy.
Noel's got better stats, so if they're going to argue it that way, then it's going to be him. But like, the style of those teams were so different, and the roles that they played were so different. It's just kind of
17-1 in the Big 12.
Yeah,
and the one game they lost, he got hurt in the first half, and they lost a home game. Like,
Dot averaged more points per game his sophomore year than Noel just did in his 5th year at Kansas State. Not dogging Kansas State, but KU was the best team in the country that year. It's like, if you put Devon on K-State, I would guess he's going to average 20 plus. And Marquise Noel, you guys know I was hyping him up in the tournament, but he was like 38% from the floor that year or last year. So, it's not amazing. I would say Dot's field goal percentage, he was 47. So
pretty good. That'll play.
Holy shit. Zach Edey, breaking news, returning to Purdue.
Wow. So which double-digit seed has he not lost to? So we got a 16, we got a 15. Did they lose to a 13 2 years ago?
Something like that.
Something.
They've lost to, it's crazy.
It's been insane.
They lost to St. Peter's.
They lost St. Peter's, Fairleigh Dickinson. They lost either a 14 or a 13. It's one of the crazier stats I've ever seen. What they've managed to do, but
lost to North Texas.
They were a 4 in the North Texas. So 14 seeds, the final chapter.
Lost to Arkansas Little Rock and Chris Beard in 2016.
Can you imagine if they go 13, 14, 15, 16 in a span of 4 years? Is that how that would go?
It would go 13, 15, 16, 14, right? But yeah.
That's on the table, right? They've lost to double-digit seeds the last 3 years. That's hilarious.
And not even like a 10 or 11. Like, we're talking the bottom of the barrel.
We're going to be
but good for Edey.
In the Sweet 16 as a 1.
Good for Edey coming back. Like, that dude should absolutely
win National Player of the Year again.
He'll win National Player of the Year. He'll just dominate again because he's so freaking big, and I don't know. I don't think he's going to be like I think he'll probably have a spot on an NBA roster, but I don't think he's ever going to be like a star or even close to it. So, okay. 34 minutes, boys. We were trying to do our first ever 30-minute podcast. Oh, AB's got a timeout.
30.
What? He's got a 30
second 30 second timeout. People forget that Purdue is also in Maui next year, so let's get a little Zach Edey, Hunter Dickinson matchup in the semis, maybe. I don't know if it brackets.
I also
or not, but
I want to make sure we show our guy Nick Love. He asked, "What would KU basketball look like with 5 Hunter Dickinsons?" Which we could be here an hour if we really wanted to break it all down.
A lot of shit talking.
A lot of points given up.
A lot of talking. Period. He's podcaster. That's a lot of guys just yapping at each other. So, all right, 35 minutes. We did it. That's pretty good for us boys. Good work. Summer episode. No more timeouts. You're out of timeouts. That's a technical foul. All right. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the questions. If we didn't get to all of them, maybe we'll sneak some in next episode too. That's it. And rock shot.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.